2, 1.
Hello and welcome to a spooky issue of the Hobby Hammer Cast. God damn it, it's been like 2 years and I'm still calling it episode. So I'm joined as ever by Miles.
And we are joined with a very, very special guest, Riley. Oh, hey. The spookiest creature in the world. Look at this spooky creature. Look at this.
A proper wet one.
Yeah. I'm looking at myself stroking the dog for a little bit.
That sounds much like a euphemism if someone's not actually watching the monitor. But what are we going to be going over today, Miles? What is the general gist of today's episode?
God, he's hairy. Off, dog. Today, it's Halloween. And whenever Halloween rolls around and you create content, you create videos, you're an artist, it's very low-hanging fruit, which we are grasping for with both hands. So this is a horror-themed issue where we'll be exploring around some of the themes, some of the tropes that inform our favourite war game, of course, Warhammer, the biggest thing in the world. But we'll also be looking at third-party producers, other game systems, other horror-themed games that we've both been enjoying, playing, collecting, painting, etc. So that is the theme of the issue. But before we get into it, Max, do you want to briefly tell us what you've been up to?
Yeah, so last weekend I ran a pillage event, which is why I bailed on our episode, which was good. It was good. We got 25 people down, Victrix, very
nice as well. That's
prizes.
Quite a lot.
Yeah. So I was really happy with the turnout. Like I would have been happy with if 8 people plus us turn up, it's a successful event for a very small game. And then 25 showed up, so that was brilliant. And honestly, the crowd that we got was really good. We'd not run events in over a year, so it was a bit rusty, but everyone was very forgiving.
So is that something you'll be looking to kick off a little bit more next year? Will that be one of your...
So, Miles, we've got Melos on the 15th of November. That has sold out already. But we've just booked a date for the start of March for another pillage event. And hopefully my desire is over the next couple of years to start running events for all the different game systems that I play.
Awesome.
So that if someone just watches the channel and is like, I'd like to get into that game, but no one around me plays that game, but it looks cool, someone's got an outlet to go to that they know they will get a game of that system.
And we've talked about this quite a lot, like in Discord and going back and forth, that, okay, so I am very interested in Heresy. Like I know how to play a little bit, so I wouldn't mind attending to an event and kind of muddling through it. But a thing like Trench Crusade, I have not looked at that whatsoever. I have no idea what they'll play. And I guess it's quite intimidating for somebody like me to turn up to an event. But the way you pitch it, the way you do these events, you can turn up with nothing but the gang and the shirt on your back and have a really good weekend because it's that soft introduction into it. There'll be more experienced players there to guide you through it, and you'll be able to, give something a go at the very least. So if you do organise something around Trench Crusade next year, maybe.
Well, it really surprised me that the official first event, and I think it might just be a quirk of how Wargaming terms things, but the first event for Trench Crusade that I've seen officially run is a tournament, like a tournament, and that is not how we have been running events.
No,
ever.
I think it's just naming culture. But
potentially,
even though there was a winner, that was at Nova, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Was that the first official one?
Yeah, and this isn't to slag off the events. This is to say ours are very much relaxed with a narrative for the event that we're going to stick to. So, say the pillage event, we just allowed sort of Western factions, and we did the invasion of Normandy. Melos has got a bit of an ongoing narrative for 30k, so, and that's much a wider thing. So everyone's got a spaceship, right? But we've got a setting that we play our things in, and if we did say Conflict 47, I've been thinking should we do Monte Solero, which is a made-up Italian town after the ice cream, obviously. It's so like a bit more of that, and then that allows people, as you say, like yourself.
Yeah.
So if you've not been to an event before, well, if people aren't just trying to try and smash people,
yeah,
like we basically just record each round the win or have you won, have you lost, because that's all that matters about like controlling that battlefield. And we found that if we take scores, say, like if it's like come and give you scores in and it's 48-2, it incentivize someone to really put the boot in.
Yeah.
When really that's not going to translate to a map. And if you've smashed someone for 4 or 5 games, and you want that feeling of driving home and being like, yeah, I got 5 games of absolutely fucking smashing people. Well, you know that anyway. You don't need us to tell you at the end.
Yes. Yeah. It's not a great feeling at the end of it. Well, for myself, everything has been in preparation for Christmas. Everything. As soon as August hits, I start preparing materials for the Advent calendar. So I've rounded off the first tutorial for that. That was done last night. We have more contributors this year than any other time. We've been sent more stuff, more prize support, just piles, oodles and oodles of stuff that's been sent through to us.
Constantly never-ending
stuff. I'm glad I own a studio to hold the stuff that's been sent to us in prize support for this event. So the Advent calendar, we run it through the Patreon. Everyone who signs up gets access to it. You get the chance to win prizes. There's something new every single day for you to open, for you to experience, for you to enjoy. So if you've never signed up for the Patreon and you have no interest in continuing on after Christmas, that's absolutely fine. Sign up before that to make sure you're eligible for all the prize support and all the prize entries and everything before running into it. So that's what I've been up to. It's off camera right now, but we've got the miniature. Every year we like producing a new miniature. So Christmas Day, brand new miniature, bang, drop, one day only. And when you see the miniature, it's for a very good goddamn reason why it's only one day, because I will be chased by certain entities out there. So it's one day only, Christmas Day. You buy it with your Christmas money and you'll never get it again. I'm trying to think what the hell else I've been up to. It's just all been in service of that. I've got space.
Painting. What have you been painting?
What have I been painting? The super secret project that's coming out Christmas Day.
The super secret project.
Super secret project, which is always wonderful to hear about in social media or any kind of video. Like, I'm working on something. Like, yes, I'm sure you are. Can we see it? No. Oh, well, why mention it then? But Christmas Day, you'll be able to see the big reveal. I've done a Darnath Lysander, which is a gorgeous miniature to paint. I've been commissioned to do all the new Space Marine commanders that have been previewed over the last couple of months. So the White Scar Commander, the Raven Guard Commander, that I've been slowly working through. And the first one completed in that series, the Darnath Lysander miniature. Beautiful, beautiful. And it's always a joy painting yellow because you can do lots of grimdark effects around it. You can really bust it up and you can throw it in stark contrast with that yellow. Beautiful. Speaking about throwing things in stark contrast and horror elements, shall we get into the meat and potatoes of the show? Let's talk about horror in wargaming. We are back. We are so back. Horror in wargaming. So Max, what do you want to talk about?
So Miles said he's introduced that segment and knew where he was going with it. I'm glad he's thrown me under the bus like that. No, I can then control where we go, which is I want to talk about all the variety of horror in war games. Like Miles, he doesn't this year, but has to paint a Comrade Curse every year. Yeah. And we focus on Heresy quite a lot. Yeah. So what I want to do is focus on the breadth of, not the breadth, but the multiple horror aspects in games.
So, unfortunately, what I do, I paint Space Marines. Other people see Space Marines like, oh, I want that. So I end up painting more Space Marines and I'm more well known in the Horus Heresy space. It's this cyclical thing. Yeah. So I always look out at other game systems with a wistful eye thinking, oh God, wouldn't it be nice if... and you, of course, have just such a variety of different things that you do on your channel. You're exposed to a lot more things than this. So for you, top horror elements in wargaming.
Right, so there's two
Wow.
that I am exposed to. The first one, let's go with, is Trench Crusade, because you know a bit about that as well.
I do.
Now, that is obviously more in the... You've got a mixture of, say, Death Watch, which is a World War One horror film with a British squad that goes into some trenches that are ruled by a demon.
What's
they
that
accidentally
called?
cross over. Death Watch.
I'm sure I've seen that.
It's Lawrence Fox before he was a complete cunt. Or maybe he was. He probably was at the time. And
At the time, yeah. But we didn't know it.
Either way, he's playing a different character that isn't himself.
Wait a second, was he a Nazi in that? Because that would be a really good look for it. I'm sure he slipped into that role.
No,
wow! Lawrence, you really play Nazi well. How do you do this? Oh, just method acting, mate. It's method acting.
Yeah, he's still in character.
He's still in character. Yes, that's it.
Yes. So you've got the Death Watch film. Then also, on top of that, you've obviously got all the demons of hell just smushed into the World War One setting.
Yeah.
Now, I've obviously been looking at Heretic Legion, like you said you were going to insert the bit that you maliciously filmed of me at the start. what have you looked?
Well, I mean, Trench Crusade started with this huge bang, didn't they? Came out of, I mean, they had a Kickstarter before, I believe, that raised like a pretty decent amount. I think it was like 15, 16K. It came up with a very limited range of miniatures. I think it was only like 16 miniatures, something around that. But then the second launch of Trench Crusade, bang, was it 6 million it went up to? Or something ludicrous like that?
Mental.
And it launched a whole new, and when we say competitors to Games Workshop, I don't think anything will really overtake or overlap or overwhelm Games Workshop, but this does feel like a legitimate contender for people's eyes on a product, because not only does it have a strikingly visual style, but it's a modern way to create a gaming company now, where it's slightly more open source. How long that will remain for, who knows? Because as you develop as a business, well, it's, you know, you need more money to do the thing that you love and pay off the artists and the creators and the writers that go with it. So start with a bang. Start with like 6 million, bang, and it had a wonderful range of original miniatures. But I mean, talking with other clients and students, that they believe, or that they thought that the range suffered from it not having a coherent scaling and a coherent style, because they had to get several different artists to work on each warband, and things aren't systematized and the same as like Games Workshop, for example. But what we have seen since Trench Crusade, I haven't really looked at it in like a year or so. I'm looking at the website now, a much more polished, well thought out, developed system. I mean, looking at the fan art gallery, we're coming across the Artillery Witch, which I think might be the most popular piece of artwork of Trench Crusade. I mean, the Artillery Witch, the Bomb Witch, is what to Trench Crusade is what the Space Marine is to Games Workshop.
Yeah, and it's so one of the things, they've just done this Prussian plastic warband that's coming out, I think the 22nd of November.
Yeah.
So that might be when they start to codify the scale and sort of design philosophy within it, is like as they're bringing out these plastic kits. I'm surprised they started with a sub-faction actually, but I suppose they've already released the resins of the main factions.
Yeah.
So that might be where we see that going and getting that more established design philosophy, like sort of speaking through all of them, because if they've got a singular team that is then working on like sort of the entire range, they can have more control of each aspect rather than freelance artists or however they were done working on each faction. Now, because with you bringing up the like failings, if there's not a better word for it, of the models. You were working on a Heretic Legion warband at the start of the year.
I was, yes.
Now, what is it that you kicked off looking at since then? Because this aligns us both.
Right, yeah. So I've got the tickle again. Like we've been talking about this horror themed episode, and of course Trench Crusade comes up, and it's like, oh, I'd love to paint some Trench Crusade. This thought that happens like every 3 months that bubbles up to the surface. So I already have like a gang printed out. I've converted them extensively. I haven't previewed them anywhere yet on social media, but I mean, it does exist. This thing exists that I want to paint. But Space Marines, bane of my life. The reason why I'm able to feed my children and pay a mortgage, but creatively throttling. So Trench Crusade, it would be that nice little outlet. So the I mean, just let's have a look at the Heresy, Heretic Legion. Where are they? So we've got the shop, rules, contact. Where are
you were mentioning, weren't you, some alternate models that you wanted?
Yeah. Do they have factions? The Butchered Saint, the Airborne. Okay, so this is all good. Like, I'm looking through the lore section. There's just so much stuff. Anchorite Shrine, Sultanate, Heretic Legions. Okay, so the Heretic Legions. What are the Heretic Legions? They seem to be at that nice in-between point between being like full witchy poo, bunch of demons running around ripping each other's heads off, and this more grimdark, grounded, military aspect. So you do have regular troops. You have Heretic Chorister, the Lord.
Yeah, so the Chorister is someone that's been worshipping the devil, or one of the aspects, and has beheaded themselves, and in doing so, as a form of worship, been resurrecting. That's why you get this sigil coming out of like the next spout, which is a real nice aspect. I've seen so many of them snap of everyone's models though, that you almost can't store them. But this is one of the real successes of the design philosophy, I think, is the chorister is really strong. It's human scale. It works really well within that sort of mortal embedded servant of hell that makes up the Heretic Legions. Now, where I actually think is weaker within the list is where you get to the Anointed, Death Commando, and the Trench Priest, the Heretic Priest. I actually really don't like. There's something quite strange about the Heretic Priest. So I've actually found an alternate model. For my
alternate miniatures. Yeah, so it. I mean, the Heretic Commander, it's a nice enough sculpt, but when we look at things like Trench Stench, which I think is Westphalia miniatures. So these have some wonderful alternate miniatures.
So I think Trench Stench does the Heretic General. Right. Which gives a very... It gives that grim-dustrial mortal servant of hell, rather than being incredibly priest-like, like the original from...
What's the original sculpt, yeah.
The studio. Yeah, what's the studio called?
They used several studios. There wasn't one coherent studio that they used.
No, but... So, yeah, that gives a really good sort of mortal servant. So I've actually gone with, I believe it's one of theirs, which is very similar to this Heretic General with the World War I style hat. And I think that allows having a small number of like sort of horror-based humans gives a greater contrast when you get to things like the Warwolf and Artillery Witch that you'll be using.
So the Artillery Witch is in the Heretic Legion, right?
Yeah. So I like that greater contrast even with my own warband. to emphasize the otherness and difference
Yeah.
of certain
So the priest is the leader of the warband, right? So you want them to really stand out and also be like a focal point. You want to put all your love, all your energy into that miniature to act as like the central nexus of the force. But unfortunately, it is overshadowed by something like the Warwolf, the Chorister, and the Artillery Witch. So how do you make that character stand out? Which I guess you could take a slightly different tack to and make it more recessive, make it more supportive of those different elements.
That's the tack that I'm going for in my force.
Yeah.
Is having them as, do you know, like the cackling villain in the background, sort of like Blofeld style character that is coordinating stuff that might not be an amazing fighter in themselves, but like is the overarching sort of like manipulator of the warband.
Yeah.
So that's one way that I've tried to tie it to sort of like, I was going to say horror films, but not like evil overarching villains in lots of film tropes aren't always the scariest fighter, but they're actually like the Machiavellian style villain.
Yeah. So for my guy, I've used the Inquisitor Locke miniature from Forge World. Replaced the hand. Instead of like the two fingers up, he's used like the two fingers down to represent hell. So that's what I've got for my one. But I mean, up on screen right now is the...
Let's just describe Inquisitor Locke for anyone that doesn't know him.
We could do one better than that. We can put up on screen.
Use the visual medium. Yeah, so he's the Amphileon Project's Inquisitor with the low hood that sort of just exposes the nose over the top, and then he's draped in sort of like raggy cultist robes or priest's robes. So that translates really nicely over into a dark model.
And he has sort of like a martyred saint kind of thing in the middle of his chest as well.
Yeah,
which works really well for that.
Yeah, so it both provides a lot of detail on that character, as you saying, like, because you want your boss to be a bit more special than just a line trooper, whilst also not taking away or not actually being the central focal point of that warband. Now, the Artillery Witch, we've been through.
Yeah, she is like the standout miniature of all of these ranges. Now, whenever anybody does a third-party miniature, whenever anybody sculpts a miniature within this world, inevitably it is the Artillery Witch.
Yeah, so you get loads of pin-up ones, but actually I think this is one of the successes of the range. The original range is that Artillery Witch.
It's
because
amazing.
It's
so good, the original.
Yeah. So I'm sticking to that for my one for my Heretic Warband. And then the other central points that we both sort of talked about was the Heretic Anointed. Now, the original sculpts like sort of display different perversions of hell. Like with massive spiky dick cod pieces.
Yeah.
And like, do you know, like the thing of like one boob and one side chest?
Yeah. Sorry, what's the actual term for them called?
Anointed. Yeah. So they've got those going on, which they sort of have an antique feel almost to the armor, and they've got different aspects of armor over time, like a Greek style helmet with some horns and stuff. Now, you were saying you liked actually a different one, which was the Grim Guard.
Yeah, the official miniatures are a little bit too thin for my liking, so I've converted one using a Warriors of Chaos from the AOS range. I've given them a flamethrower. I've used the flamethrower guy from the old Dark Vengeance box set, and that works quite well. But
have you got a picture?
No, I do not.
Oh no!
No, you'll have to wait for next year when we do this episode again. No, I found these. They're called Cadaver Corpse, and I'm not Are these meant to be anointed? Because they haven't
So
quite
those-
got the hellish, demonic feel of the anointed of the original sculpts.
Well, I think this is one of the successes of Trench Crusade. Is there's lots of different aesthetics that you can go for because they made that original statement of you can use any model.
Yeah.
So the Cadaver Corps have their own full rule set that is the sub-faction of the Heretic Legion. So there is a full rule set, and they do models for all of them. So you've got the Cadaver Corps as well as their versions of the Anointed that are in there, and I believe they do like motorbikes and stuff.
I think
for
so,
the same ones. Yeah, and war hyenas. So you've got quite a range that you can choose from there, and I really like it. Like Westphalia is obviously the ones that had done the Red Brigade, that was a really popular like sub Kickstarter, as well as a Viking themed warband.
Yeah, that is very good. Like visually very striking.
Yeah. So that is where we're clearly both thinking of going, because I think the Cadaver Corps really nicely emphasize the industrial side of World War One. That obviously it depends how far into the Weird War that you want to get in the Weird War game, because without it being entirely fantasy, there is still that initial World War One aspect. And I think
I think that needs to be at the core of it. It's like a World War One aesthetic corrupted.
Yeah, exactly. So, and these do that really well. They've got hints in there that suggest that it is still grounded in that, like the Lewis gun that one of them's holding.
Just having to flip through some of their images. Okay, so if one were interested in collecting a Heretic Legion, because these, I mean, apart from the demons, well, you could say like all of them have their own horror aspect to them, but since we're talking so heavily about this, if you're looking for just a quick, easy starter gang that you're looking for, something that will maybe is a little bit over on the kind of points that you'd normally play, but will cover all eventualities. So to bring it back to like 30k, I normally collect about 3,500 points of a collection, because I can add a Primarch to 2,500 to bring up to 3k, for example. But it's sort of like my deck list that I create. So if you're creating a Heretic Legion deck list, what kind of miniatures would you suggest?
Right, well, let me give you a 700 point starter army.
Okay, let's do that.
And then because I think one of the things that you have to do within Trench Crusade, because unless you're just playing skirmishes, you need to respond to what your other players are going to be using.
Okay.
Because they might just come out with some random thing or a really heavily stacked armor, and you've not expected it. So what I'm actually going to be starting with in the next campaign,
this
that
is
I'm pretty happy with, is a Heretic Priest with standard armor. Now, standard armor, this is a -1 to your 2d6 roll, and you need to get a 9 to 12. Yeah, 9 to 12.
I wish I understood what you were talking about.
Right, really so all things in Trench Crusade is rolled off a 2d6, basically. And you can add additional dice to that, so like 3d6 and pick the 2 highest, 4d6, pick the 2 highest. To kill someone, you need to get a 12. So having armor on your key things is really good, because it massively reduces the chance.
So we have a priest, Inquisitor Lock.
A priest with a pistol and a sword. I've then got a Death Commando, which has got the start of the horror aspect, because it's an infiltrator. It's much bigger than a regular human.
I've got it up now. Yeah, I love the Westphalia one where he's like sliding down the rock. Yeah, exactly. So they come with Tartarus claws that allow them to sort of, when they've minced through someone, consolidate further into combat or rampage through 6 inches into another combat. And then a chorister, which is going to be singing Barry Manilow songs. I've then gone, because I don't know why, but the
the Purge keeps coming into my head when I'm thinking about the Heretic Legions.
Right.
Do you know how they're all sort of like there's roving death bands that are insane, or death squads that are insane? So I'm thinking like people with flamethrowers are going to be everywhere, ties into like the hell and stuff. So I've got an anointed heavy infantry with a heavy flamethrower, an artillery witch with standard armor, which is an artillery witch, and then two heretic troopers, one with a bolt action rifle, and one which has got standard armor and a machine gun. Okay. So I've got basically all the different types that I could in, like as many different elements from the range as I could within that 700 points. And it comes out to 7 models, which actually for a Trench Crusade warband to start isn't too bad. Starting out with that 7 is a decent number unless someone's really leaning heavily into something like a horde tactic or something like that. So that's what I have gone for my Heretic Legion force, and it's what I would recommend to you, Miles. Though I know you've got that Sin Eater that you'll be attempting to squeeze in.
Well, it's nice just having options, right? So what you've described there is the core. If I collect that and nothing else, great, I have the core. Like everything else then is a bonus. So if I want to add more infantry, I can add more infantry. If I want to add a second anointed with an axe, cool, I can do that. But at least I have an idea of what the core is of that collection. So in the campaign that you're running, what other factions will be involved? Is anybody else collecting trench pilgrims by any chance?
We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
We've currently got 3 people going New Antioch.
Okay, right.
One either Abyssinia or Prussians. And then 2 just basic New Antioch. And then probably a court of the 7-headed serpent. Henry did play trench pilgrims in our first campaign, though. So we had a very horde style trench pilgrim being played, which focus around. There's one of the, and this is sort of the opposite side of the horror coin, because in Trench Crusade, like in 40k, 30k, there's a good side, but it's a horrific warping of traditional good. So the Trench Pilgrims have a shrine anchorite that constantly deals pain to the person piloting it.
Yeah, it's like a dreadnought, isn't it?
Yeah, and people take turns being broken on this Catherine wheel that it's carrying. It's all about self-flagellation. So Henry's warband focused around that, and it's different permutations that one of the sub-factions allows you to do, such as different weapons and things like that. So he had a great time using that
is the other faction I was looking at, because it's just so visually striking, so visually amazing. Again, great range of miniatures, really fun to paint.
And he's got really distinctive silhouettes that initially make it, having that iron cavote that the Spanish monks have. Capriote, whatever it's called. It gives that unifying theme within the entire list and warband.
Hell, you could print those up and stick them on like a Cowdor gang or on a Redemptionist gang. Just make sure you don't paint the robes white. We can sidestep that issue entirely. I mean, Trench Crusade, curious. I just need to paint the damn things. I need to follow through on one of these things that I keep telling myself I will. Okay. Other horror themed aspect.
Do you want to pick it for this one?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about our favorite game system, Games Workshop. So my first introduction into Games Workshop, when I walked into the store, the game they were playing was 2nd edition Space Hulk. Now, I can't quite remember whether I'd seen Alien before or after I played this game, but they kind of like smudged in between. And when we think, well, when we talk about horror in gaming or gaming in general, I think there's quite like a strong overlap in there. When we look at nearly all of the factions in Warhammer 40k, they're all in some way horror themed. I mean, Tyranids very much based on Alien. I guess Tau are the only ones that kind of like break away from that aesthetic, but even within their culture, within their doctrine, that is a horrifying aspect to them. So every faction within Warhammer 40k is very heavily rooted in horror aspects. But for me, when I think about the most, you got a game like Cursed City, right? Very heavily leaned into that. But I think it leaned into it at such a way that it almost becomes like a caricature of itself. Fun to paint, vampires and stuff, but it didn't quite have that same feeling as, say, like a Mordheim or a Space Hulk, where Games Workshop are very good at taking these very broad, sweeping generalizations and tropes and planting them in their universe and making it unique, giving it that little spin of uniqueness to it. I've been trying to bring up this image. Open image in a new tab. Yeah. So what's your what within Warhammer 40k or within Warhammer? What do you think is the strongest horror aspect in there?
So the obvious one is the Comrade Curse Night Lords one, because that is their thing.
Just Night Lords in general.
Yeah, but actually, I think one of the real good ones is in fantasy. They've got a load of horror tropes in there. Obviously, you've got the vampire count, but the one that always stands out to me is the Gotrek and Felix story, which is set within the Empire I think it's in the Drakfold, where a chosen champion of chaos is leading a warband on a path of destruction throughout some villages to take revenge on one of the noble families there. And it's all set through the eyes of her abandoned child.
Oh, right.
It's in there. It's in Troll Slayer, like the original book written by William King. And I think he's a really good portray. He's like light horror, but he's obviously involving Chaos Warriors, Beastmen, and has, rather than being a sort of like getting chased through halls horror that some of the things do, like with Comrade Curse, it's a fantasy era battle horror that I think he's done really well. He's definitely worth a read if anyone hasn't. Troll Slayer in general as a book is worth a read. Or do you want me to talk about something specifically 30k, Miles?
No, not at all. I'm just trying to think of like fiction. So there's a guy called Peter Favari, who's done. Oh God, I'm trying to bring him up now. The Dark Coil, and he's written just some amazing horror troped, horror themed books. I'm trying to. There we go. The Reverie. I don't quite know what to say about this author, because he's a little bit like Dan Abnett, where he starts out with a very, very strong premise, excellent, but I struggle to finish off his books because it always feels like it doesn't quite know how to wrap itself up. But so up on screen right now is the Reverie. It's a story about a Blood Angel successor chapter and how they recruit. It's not so much about the story with this guy. It's more about like the feeling and the moods that he's able to produce in his worlds. Hypnotic, haunting, and if you're looking for a start, middle, and end kind of story driving through, this isn't the book for you. This is more about the feeling and the creepiness of the world that he's able to evoke, and he does it better than any other Warhammer author in their stable. Have you managed to read any of his works at all?
I've not. He's Warhammer horror is that like as a specific thing. is something that I've not massively delved deep within.
Yeah. Are they even producing any more novels in that?
In that subcategory,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm having a little look
Well,
at it now.
there is a really good Age of Sigmar novel that, if you remove, and this isn't an insult to Age of Sigmar even, but I just know some fantasy purists will immediately dismiss it if I with me introducing it as an Age of Sigmar thing. But there is a story called Grey Harvest, I think it's called, that has a debt collector going to basically an isolated village and is a bit more existential horror as well, that is within that Warhammer horror set of books of the local lord in the wider area is doing some sort of weird pagan worship of the old gods, and then the dryads within the area, Sylvaneth, attacking people. And I think he's actually quite a good, weird, interesting setting for people to read that might be put off Age of Sigmar. Like, it's not something that I play or read into, but is a good standalone book within itself, within the Warhammer universe. And when I say within the Warhammer universe, I mean, don't expect the best fiction you have ever read.
Yeah,
because they all come with that,
so for like
that addendum.
there's a book here called Sepulturum, which is a horror book about a hive world and zombies, which you think would be just a natural pairing, right? Why has nobody written this story yet?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not the greatest fan of this particular, like Nick Kime. I'm not a particular fan of his work.
What books did he write that put you off Nick Kime?
Like all the salamander ones in the Horus Heresy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
And there's just a wicked like front cover, and looking at it, I don't want to read this book purely because it's in the horror section, purely because it is a like Horus Heresy novel, just because it's part of a series. If I'm not that intrigued by the author, like I've been burned by that many times, so I tend to look at authors I enjoy their work of and read those instead. Yeah, I can't say I've read much of the horror series from here, but I mean, God, I guess the best. It's not particularly like horror focused or themed, but it's the Night Lords trilogy. There's some horrific aspects in there. Like,
I can't believe we didn't bring it up until now.
Until now, yeah. Reading, I mean, that seems to be like the quintessential like horrifying 40k tale. I mean, even when you look at things like Hell's Reach, which isn't like horror based or rooted in horror tropes, but it is horrifying in nature and has horrifying aspects to it. But yeah, definitely the Night Lords trilogy would be like my number one pick, or anything by Peter Vivari would be my pick for fiction within this universe.
Do you know what? It's one of the things actually that I think that Warhammer books struggle with, that they have horror aspects within them, but the way that they're written isn't like a horror book. Like in the same way that as you say, the Night Lords trilogy isn't actually a horror book. It's just there are horrifying aspects, and I think that's something that is across the range. It's Dark Harvest is the book that I was describing before.
Dark Harvest. Okay.
Yeah, all of them I think are like that. Now, the Night Lords trilogy in particular, because it follows a non-space marine for a large part of it in Septimus, I think gives that sense of scale and dread as they themselves explore the world or the ship that they are largely confined to, and it gives that element of dread to it. And I think it's a really good standpoint. I think it's one of the things that I'm not a space marine purist within books. I know some people like Like, why is Horus Rising got these stupid iterators in there at all?
Yeah.
But, no, I
Um,
think it's really good.
yeah, I mean, just looking at the horror section on the Black Library website, it seems like this was being launched for like a brand new audience for people who don't particularly are interested in Warhammer. They
Mm.
were pitching this as like a horror, like a horror demographic, but I mean, it must be a reason why it hasn't taken off, right? Perhaps it just hasn't sold in numbers or hasn't been like critically acclaimed at all. Anyway, horror in wargaming is the subject of this, and we also have, what else do we have up here? Conflict 47. Snap! Yeah, Conflict
What?
47. So, Max, you know far more about this than I do, and I can see some werewolves up here. What the hell are these?
Don't put the werewolves up. Put the Totten corpse up.
Mate, yesterday, I watched Dog Soldiers. It's on Amazon at the moment in the UK for free. Well, you know what I mean. What a wicked film that is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's one of the things that I think is best about, like, as we discussed Trench Crusade before. One of the best things about World War II, in the same way, is
Were the
there's so
werewolves.
much established literature, films, everything that you can digest about those things, and then there is already this vast subcategory of horror within that Conflict 47 can really benefit from. So the premise of Conflict is that the nuclear bomb, at some point there has been a divergence from the main timeline, right? And in dropping the nuclear bomb, both during the Manhattan Project test, whatever the test was called, and as well as they drop a bomb on Dresden, both of those open a rift to somewhere or something, or do you know, like, completely unexplained.
Hell, Demon World.
Well, who knows? Who knows? So basically, that rift starts allowing people to change their technology. Roosevelt goes into the rift and gets like healed for some reason, but comes out and declares a religious crusade led by America as God's chosen people. But there's almost, within that subtext, there is like an element of there is fanaticism, but also like an element of this potentially is not the real case, and they're being manipulated by something. Now, on the Nazi side, and what's more horror than Nazis, you've got genetic testing by the Green Vault, which has led a coup of the Nazi war machine, the Nazi government, and replaced Hitler and all the big Nazis and stuff, and continued genetic research in order to then spread across the world and fulfill their whatever aims are about. And within that, then have transformed people into werewolves, transformed people into like this weird hybrid of bat and shark. Looking at the models, don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, they really look like Master Race there.
Yeah, and they've also been able to bring people back from the dead. But it's a really, one of the good things about Conflict 47 is that, one of the bad things about Conflict 47 is that there's not loads of lore. It's very much filling in your own gaps at the moment. So you can set your games within pretty much anything, as other than like alongside the fact that it's Weird War. So we've been doing zombie-based games at the moment, like tomorrow or today, if everyone's listening to this on the Saturday the 1st, then I'm releasing one where Von Mantelschloss is trying to conjure a spell and raise loads of zombies from the ground. And it's just something where you can make up and establish your own narrative of which we've been doing this zombie horror setting, and proceed forward with the game. So he's really enjoyable. There's not loads to read of lore-wise at the moment, but it's definitely something that I would encourage people to look at, because it's very much a blank canvas that you can insert what you want over it still.
Yeah, that looks. I mean, we've been chatting about Conflict 47.
Only because I never shut up about it. It's a very a very one-way chat.
So I really want to paint up one of the walkers they have there. Like really want to paint one of these up. What is it? Axis Starter Army. Yeah, looks bad.
Well, I've got one in front of me. Look at this one, Miles. Oh. This is. Oh no! It's upside down.
Oh.
So,
ooh, he's a chunky boy.
A British Merlin. That's the size of it next to a dude.
Nice.
And he's got that. It's obviously humanoid shape. It very much reminds me of a Contemptor, but also has that industrial feel to it with the squared off. Sort of like a mixture between a Contemptor and a mech from BattleTech.
That's badass. Right, okay, so that is a very, very brief overview of some of the more engaging aspects of horroring wargaming. Okay, because both Max and I, we work on producing videos every year, and you can't help but start to plan for next year or the year after. You can't help but like work yourself into a schedule. So come this time next year, October rolls around, you'll be squirreling things away to release at this date. I will definitely be painting another Night Lord. There is a Night Lord tutorial up for Halloween 2025. I've gone full on Kubrick with it. It's taken me 3 days to edit this goddamn video. Lightning strikes, lightning bolts, sound effects. I've got the lot in there. Hopefully people can hear my narration over the lightning bolts striking over the top of it.
The deafening lightning bolts.
Yeah, but I mean, come this time next year, hopefully we can all paint a Night Lord as a community and submit it, and we can do like a little round.
Is that what you want to do?
I'd love to do that. Yeah, more of a round robin discussion. But I don't only want to do a Night Lord collection by next year. I want to do so. Recently, I've bought a Necromunda gang from an Australian gentleman, Power Hungry Monkey. Hello, if you're watching, and he's themed the gang around Delac surgeons, and they have quite a lot of like Tyranid bits in them. So my idea for them is that you have this coven of disaffected surgeons who want to create a great awakening within humanity. And they've been splicing in all sorts of psychoreactive biological elements, be it Tyranid, fungus, like weird mutants, like whipping off bits of psychic mutants and jamming them into people. So that's what I really want to concentrate on for next year, producing that like horror-esque aspect to it. But what about yourself? Do you have any ideas of what you want to produce for next year?
Next year, I would like to do a Silver Bayonet game.
Oh,
is what I'm thinking. Is like a specific Silver Bayonet game. If it's not happened before then, I would very much.
What's like horror themed about that?
Right, so Silver Bayonet is a Napoleonic horror game that is. There's lots of source books where you can choose different horror themes for specific countries that you're playing in, and you make an 8-man or woman Silver Bayonets force. They're called the Silver Bayonets, to take on like a gothic horror opponent. Called the Harvest Men, that are basically raising the dead or doing whatever specific evil thing. So I've got a vampire Napoleon that I'm going to be using as like the big bad guy, and yeah, it's good. And there's some great 3D models for it.
When you type in vampire Napoleon into Google, you get like an anime character. That's not what I want.
If you put in Napoleonic Dread Napoleon.
Got Nemesis Napoleon. Oh, he's a vampire. Great. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just quite a cool, light-hearted 8-model game.
Yeah. Do you have any films that you watch every year, like around this time? Like for me, tonight I'll be watching either Event Horizon or Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Do you know what? I don't have a specific one. I always just make sure to. So I think tonight might be Alien singular.
Oh, another good one. So on ITV right now, it's for free. Coraline. Have you ever watched that?
What's that?
It's okay. It's a movie. I know you're not going to watch this because I recommended something to you before, and you didn't fucking watch it. And we had an argument earlier today about a friend recommended a heater for a resin printer, and you recommended it to me about a year ago, and I haven't bought. But this other guy recommends it. I buy it like that. No, Coraline.
Yeah, I'm like your wife or something.
Yeah, Coraline's a story about a child that moves into a new house with her family, but the house is slightly askew. In one of the rooms, it leads to another universe where there's another version of her mother that's sweet and like overly sweet and panders to her every whim. She's not like a real mother who disciplines her, make her go to bed at 10 o'clock, makes her do homework. No, this other mother bakes a cookie. She can stay up as long as she wants. It's the love without discipline. But in order to stay in that other place, you need to have your eyes removed and have them sewn up with buttons instead.
Weird.
And it's written by Neil Gaiman. If you Google that guy, that leads to an extra horror element to it. I think that's a good place to leave it. Movie recommendations. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching this issue, this horror-themed issue of Hobby Hammer, and we'll see you next time. Hobby hard.
In a bit.
Hobby hard. Say the line.
Hobby hard.